Discover the hidden, heartwarming journey of a bus conductor who inspired a billionaire's life-changing transformation. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, where the brick buildings whispered stories of yesteryears and family-owned diners served pancakes that melted in your mouth, Gary, the bus conductor, had a presence that could light up the gloomiest of days. Every morning, he opened the bus doors with a smile so genuine it could warm the chilliest of hearts. As passengers streamed on, they were not just riders, they were friends, extended family in his eyes. Gary's kindness spilled over like the strong coffee brewing at Joe's Diner, as he helped an elderly man settle in and bantered with kids, making them giggle with silly jokes. But beneath the charming surface, shadows lurked. The once vibrant community center, the very heartbeat of the town, faded with each passing day, threatened by funding cuts. This place had been where first dances happened, potluck dinners unfolded, and friendships blossomed. Now, it stood on the brink of closure, a bittersweet reminder of the economic strife sinking the town like a weight on its shoulders. One gray morning, billionaire Ethan Carter, clad in his tailored suit and familiar with the glimmering skyline of his high-rise office, found himself taking a reluctant step onto Gary's bus. He felt like a visitor in this world, a stranger among friends. But as the bus rolled away, leaving behind whispers of urgency and camaraderie, something started to shift inside him. Gary's laughter rang through the cramped bus, and with each stop, the spirit of community wrapped around Ethan like a warm blanket. He witnessed Gary helping an elderly woman with her shopping bags, watched as the conductor's infectious laughter turned mundane moments into heartwarming exchanges. Each interaction revealed the richness of human connection, something Ethan had long ignored in his pursuit of wealth. The bus became a sanctuary of compassion, and for Ethan, it was a mirror reflecting values he had buried deep beneath layers of privilege. Day after day, he found himself drawn back to this little bus and Gary's effortless charm. Their conversations took place with an air of ease, as if they'd known each other forever. Gary's steadfast belief in the power of kindness lit a spark within Ethan. It unraveled his aloof demeanor, replacing it with an urging sense of accountability towards something greater than himself. Then the news hit like a thunderclap: funding cuts were imminent, and the community center would close its doors soon. Panic swept through the town, a tangible fear that choked the air. But Gary refused to buckle. With flames of determination burning in his heart, he began to organize, rallying the community with passion that left Ethan in awe. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Gary stood on the steps of the community center one fateful afternoon, addressing the crowd filled with anxiety and hope, Ethan hovered at the edge, heart pounding. The crossroads loomed before him. Would he step forward and rise to the occasion, or would he retreat into the indifference that had always been his refuge? The weight of community expectation settled on him like a storm cloud, leaving the air charged with anticipation. Would friendship and compassion triumph over years of neglect? The answers hung tantalizingly in the air, urging him to take the plunge into a transformation that could reshape both their lives forever. Ethan stood frozen, his mind racing. The faces of the townsfolk were awash with worry, each individual embodying years of struggle, memories, and dreams tethered to this place. Up on the steps, Gary radiated a force of hope, his voice soaring as he spoke of unity and resilience. Job losses and closing doors had infiltrated the town, but Gary's words promised a brighter possibility, igniting a flicker of courage within Ethan's chest. With a deep breath, Ethan took a step forward. Did he really want to be the man who dismissed the cries for help? The man who stood by while a community crumbled? Gary caught his eye, a tiny nod of encouragement and a grin that lit up his face. Ethan's heart responded with a surge of warmth that surged through his veins. I can't just stand here, he thought, as if the words became a mantra, propelling him toward to the front of the crowd. Just as he reached the steps, he felt the weight of a world he had previously spurned. The world Gary represented. He wasn't merely a billionaire, he yearned to be a friend, a partner, a beacon of change. Everyone. Ethan's voice rang out, shaky but resolute. Heads turned, eyes wide with surprise. I've been lucky, too lucky. Back in the city, I lost track of what it truly means to belong, to walk alongside others, to help, to share our burdens together. A ripple of disbelief moved through the crowd. But I see the heart of this community. I know what the center means to you all, and I want to help. A mumbled buzz rippled through the spectators, uncertain yet hopeful. Gary's eyes sparkled with something between pride and awe, urging him on. Let us save this community center. Let us throw a fundraiser, let us bring the town together. The idea, raw and unpolished, spilled from Ethan's lips, unveiling the passion he didn't know he possessed. Some in the crowd exchanged glances, while others murmured a mix of skepticism and intrigue. Do you really think that'll work? A voice broke through, rising above the uncertainty. It belonged to a woman Ethan recognized, a teacher whose laughter echoed in the coffee shop where he began to see more than just coffee orders. I believe it can, he replied, trying to hold her gaze. But I need all of you. We'll organize a festival, local vendors, games for kids, a talent show, everything to celebrate what makes this community great. The response was hesitant but curious, and Ethan felt the burgeoning spark of momentum, almost tangible. He glanced at Gary, his ally and mentor, who stepped forward, adding, "We need to create something beautiful together. This isn't just about money, this is about showing we care." The atmosphere shifted. Hands gripped each other, and doubts started stepping aside for collective resolve. One by one, voices rose in agreement, sharing ideas, laughter, and even the occasional tear. They envisioned a festival that could draw in the townsfolk and those from neighboring communities. As Ethan began jotting down notes, mapping the ideas that poured forth, he could feel the shift within himself, nurtured by the spirit Gary embodied. Hope stirred like an ember flickering to life, igniting an unexpected kinship forming between him and the townsfolk. Suddenly, the town phone rang. A member of the town council approached, a look of urgency in her eyes. "Ethan, there's someone on the line who might have a solution, but I can't say for certain." The crowd held its breath, anticipation hanging thick in the air. What could this new development mean for the festival and their hopes of keeping the community center alive? Ethan sensed that this moment could shift everything. Would it bring an unexpected ally, a financial lifeline, or perhaps another obstacle? Ethan's heart raced as he stared at the council member, her urgency palpable. The crowd was a living entity, a collective heart beating in anticipation. He could hear hushed whispers, a mix of hope and apprehension. "Who is it?" he dared to ask, the question hanging in the air like a kite caught in an invisible thread. The woman, her brow furrowed and eyes bright, nodded slightly. "It's a donor. They heard about your plans for the festival and they want to help. But they need to speak to you now." Ethan's mind spun. A donor? This could be the lifeline they desperately sought. Or, it might unravel the fragile threads of hope he'd just begun to weave into his vision for the town. The crowd's energy shimmered, there was a flicker of excitement mingling with anxiety. "Go on. We need good news." Someone shouted from the back. With a firm nod, Ethan stepped forward, creating space in the crowd. The air felt charged, electric. He moved away from the vibrant voices and murmured encouragement, beckoning the councilwoman to follow. What could this connection mean? As he picked up the receiver, he tried to steady his breath. A voice crackled through. "Ethan? This is Patricia from the Hillgrove Foundation." He recognized the name immediately. The foundation was known for supporting various community initiatives across the state. A promise of assistance swelled in his chest. "I understand you're planning a festival. I think it could be a wonderful opportunity for revitalization. We want to offer financial support, but we'd like to see it succeed, not just financially. We want to create genuine community engagement." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Thank you. We want that too. It's not just about funds, it's about bringing people together, about connection." Patricia paused, as if weighing her words. "I want to set up a meeting next week to discuss further to help you devise a plan. But I have to ask, will your community be fully on board?" The question struck him like a lightning bolt. He glanced back at the crowd gathered outside. He could feel their hope and anxieties mingling in that shared space. Would they fully embrace this opportunity? I believe they will, he answered, a surge of conviction fueling his words. But it's not just up to me. It's about what we all want together. We're in this as a community. Good to hear. I'll set the meeting then. The line went quiet, leaving him standing there, wondering if this was a dream or reality. As he turned back to the crowd, buoyant energy surged through him. Everyone. I think we have our first step. The Hillgrove Foundation wants to support our festival. We can make this work. Gasps filled the air, followed by a burst of applause. The atmosphere shifted palpably as the townsfolk exchanged hopeful glances. We still need to come together and work for this, but this is a wonderful start. Ethan urged, his voice filled with enthusiasm. The weight lifted off his shoulders, replaced by a sense of belonging he had longed for. All right. Let us get to work. Gary shouted, lifting a fist in solidarity. One by one, the townsfolk joined in, arms raised, smiles wide, united as they began brainstorming logistics, assigning roles, and igniting creativity amongst the people. Among the laughter and chatter, Ethan didn't notice Gary stepping away until he approached him again, a look of seriousness clouding his jovial expression. Ethan, there's something else. I'm committing a lot of resources to this project, but... Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What is it? You need to be aware of something regarding the foundation. There might be strings attached. Are you up for it? As uncertainty washed over him, the lively atmosphere around them faded into a blurry background. Ethan's heart raced again. Was he truly ready for the hidden challenges that awaited? The pull of community and the complexities of loyalty were starting to collide in fraught harmony. Just as he opened his mouth to reply, the town rumble broke out into a joyous cheer. But doubt flickered at the edges of his mind. Was he ready to confront whatever this would bring? Would the joy they sought distract from deeper truths? The stakes were now higher than ever. What more lurked beneath the promise of support, and would it threaten the unity they were trying to build? Ethan stood still for a moment, the weight of Gary's words wrapping around him like a thick fog. The excitement of the moment felt distant now, overshadowed by a creeping unease. He could see the townsfolk around him, imbued with hope and energy, but he felt strangely disconnected. Ethan. Gary's voice broke through his reluctance. Don't dwell on this now. Let us celebrate this opportunity. We can navigate these challenges later. Ethan nodded slowly, forcing a smile to his face. Right. You're right. We have a festival to plan. The crowd surged with renewed vigor as he turned back to face them, excitement buzzed in the late afternoon air. Ideas flew around like confetti as the townsfolk began to envision the festival. Children giggled as they discussed games and booths, while the adults engaged in deeper conversations about the logistics of funding and outreach. Within moments, a stream of possibilities poured out: local musicians, food from the market, crafts from community artists. As the laughter and chatter swelled, Ethan felt an unexpected spark of hope reignite. He caught sight of Mrs. Whitaker, the elderly woman who'd run the bakery for decades. Ethan. Can we have a pie-eating contest? She exclaimed, her eyes glimmering. Of course. He responded, enthusiasm rising within him. We'll definitely include that. Gary, living in the moment, was already organizing a team. Let us get committees set up. Who wants to handle marketing? Who's in for designing the event layout? Hands shot up, the group abuzz with excitement. He could hardly believe how quickly they were coming together. Yet, there lingered a small voice, a reminder that all might not be as simple as it seemed. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the horizon in soft pinks and purples, Ethan pulled Gary aside. About what you said before about the foundation, are you sure there's nothing I should know? I need to be transparent with everyone. Gary looked momentarily lost in thought before answering. I can't be sure of everything, Ethan, but I'll dig into it. Just know that sometimes, when the stakes are high, people want more than just a good community event. There's a chance they might attempt to steer us. Ethan felt a chill sweep through him, but he kept it inside. Thanks for saying something. I'll handle it as best I can, but we can't let fear taint this moment. The community is trusting us. His friend nodded. Right. Let us just make sure they only see the good. The festival plans tangled around in his mind, each detail feeling more important than the last. He envisioned what it could mean for unity, for healing old wounds and building something new. But, as the vibrant chatter continued under the fading sun, another thought simmered beneath the surface. Could they really come together despite whatever strings might come with the promised help? As the crowd fit into the contours of laughter and ambition, Ethan felt the pulse of the town. He inhaled deeply, fighting the doubt entwined with the joy. Together, he whispered to himself, pressing forward into the heart of the gathering, but even as he spoke those words, a nagging question lingered in his mind: is it truly possible to unite without knowing where the support might lead? And just as he was caught up in his thoughts, the phone rang again, cutting through the laughter. He glanced at the screen. Patricia. He spoke, an anxious flutter in his chest. What more might she reveal? Would her words solidify their hopeful start, or throw him deeper into uncertainty? Ethan's heart raced as he pressed the green button to answer. Patricia. He repeated, trying to sound calm, but the weight of impending uncertainty pressed on him. Voices around faded into a dull hum, the vibrant atmosphere of the festival plan feeling suddenly distant. Ethan. Thank goodness you picked up, Patricia said, her voice crackling slightly through the connection, urgent and familiar. I didn't want to interrupt, but I have some news. Something you should hear directly from me. Ethan's breath hitched. What is it? Is it about the foundation? The possibilities echoed in his mind, concern mingled with hope. He felt the crowd around him, the laughter, the anticipation, but this felt like a tightrope walk over a chasm of uncertainty. Yes, it is, she confirmed, her voice lowering. I've been looking deeper into their workings. Generally speaking, they seem genuine in their intentions, but what? Ethan interrupted, anxiety prickling up his spine. He could almost hear the faint rustle of leaves as the townsfolk mingled, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface of this celebration. They've had a few, questionable dealings in the past, nothing directly related to the festival. However, I worry about strings attached to the funding they're offering. You know how grant money can come with its own set of rules. Ethan felt his heart sink. So, you're saying we should be wary? The joy that had temporarily shielded him from doubt was cracking under the pressure of her words. Exactly. I think you should consider being open with the town about what you know, even the uncertainty. Transparency is key in maintaining their trust, especially if this festival is meant to unify everyone. He leaned against the wooden railing, hand trembling as he processed her words. I want to be honest, but I also don't want to scare them off. The town needs this, we need this. He glanced at the lively faces around him, laughter floating like balloons in the evening air. Sometimes fear can keep people from seeing the bigger picture, Patricia replied softly, her tone soothing. But leaving them in the dark isn't an option either. Ethan paused, the weight of her words striking like a hammer against stone. He felt the decision bearing down on him. Trust could either ignite hope or shatter dreams. What do you think I should do? He asked, his voice almost a whisper. Speak from the heart. But prepare them for the reality that help isn't always straightforward. Encourage them to be vigilant in the face of opportunity. As he hung up, a wave of emotions rolled over him: fear, confusion, but also a flicker of determination. He looked around. Were they truly ready for the truth? Would exposing the reality help them come together, or would it create a divide? Gary approached, his eyes alight with enthusiasm as he set down a clipboard. Ethan. We've got everything lined up for the festival, but did you hear anything about the funding? Ethan interrupted, a knot tightening in his stomach. We could face challenges. Patricia just warned me there may be some conditions involved. Gary's brow furrowed, surprise etched into his features. You think it's serious? Ethan nodded slowly. We might need to prepare the town for what's to come. The fear of disrupting their excitement hung heavy in the air. Yet there was an undeniable urge to gather everyone and lay the facts bare, to protect their shared vision. I understand, Gary replied, his expression shifting from surprise to solidarity. But maybe we can frame it as an opportunity to be stronger as a community? To stand together? Ethan inhaled deeply, the suggestion stirring something within him. They could cultivate resilience and unwavering bond against any storm. As the fading sunlight cast shadows, he felt empowered by that notion. Let us do it, he said finally, determination calming the storm within him. But I need you at my side. We'll approach everyone together. As they took a step into the crowd, Ethan felt butterflies in his stomach. What would be the reaction? Would they embrace the truth, or would fear start to unravel the tapestry they were trying to weave? With each moment, he felt the weight of the community resting on his shoulders, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the real journey was just beginning. The crowd's energy was palpable, excited, and it washed over him. But lurking under that enthusiasm lay an unshakable thought: could they rise above uncertainty together, or would this revelation mark the start of their unraveling? Behind him, laughter erupted, but for Ethan, the sound felt distant, clouded in a haze as the confrontation with reality loomed ever closer. What lay ahead, he wondered, as he prepared to share their next chapter. Ethan took a deep breath as he stepped further into the throng of people. Their laughter echoed around him like a comforting song, but the knot in his stomach felt tight. Each face he passed represented hopes, dreams, and an expectation he wasn't sure he could meet. Gary walked beside him, occasionally casting him hopeful glances. You ready for this? He asked, hands gripping the clipboard as if it were a lifeline. I guess we'll find out, Ethan replied, forcing a smile. We need to find the community center. That's where everyone's gathered for the announcements. Navigating through the crowd, he felt the warmth of familiarity. Parents waved to their children, young couples strolled hand in hand, and older folks shared stories, all woven together by the vibrant atmosphere of the festival. But Ethan was struggling between that joy and the heavy task that lay ahead. When they finally reached the community center, the small building buzzed with energy. The members of the town were talking animatedly, the delicious smell of food wafting through the air. As Ethan stepped inside, he could see the banner hanging above them, "Together we rise." It felt like an ironic declaration now. Gary found his voice first. All right, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? The crowd quieted, a few curious glances darting toward Ethan, their smiles fading as they sensed the shift in atmosphere. Ethan's heart raced. This was it. Thank you for coming, he started, his voice unsteady. We have some important things to discuss about the festival and the foundation that is supporting us. Whispers fluttered in the room. He caught sight of faces filled with concern, some frowning, others simply confused. Most of you know that we've been given a chance for funding from the foundation, he continued. But I spoke with Patricia today. She uncovered some information that could change how we proceed. The murmurs grew louder, waves of anxious energy rippling through the crowd. The weight of their expectations pressed heavier on him. What do you mean? Someone called out from the back. Are they pulling the funding? Ethan shook his head, feeling sweat bead on his forehead. No, but there are conditions we need to be aware of. It's important that we stay vigilant. We need to be prepared for the possibility that this funding could come with strings attached. Like what? What strings? Gary jumped in, trying to ease the growing tension. Ethan's gaze swept across the audience. He could see fear creeping into their expressions. I don't know the specifics yet, but we must not ignore the potential risks. Patricia advised me to be open and honest. We shouldn't hide anything from one another. What do we do then? A voice from the crowd asked, a mixture of worry and determination that he could feel their energy shifting, the fear giving way to resolve. We come together. We evaluate everything as a community. We won't let the fear of something unknown tear us apart. We can continue planning, but let us do it wisely. He felt a wave of realization wash over him, the hope for unity taking root. If they faced this together, rather than as individuals, they could protect not just their dreams but their sense of community. Slowly, hands began to rise. We can do this. A woman shouted, igniting a spark in the room. Yes. Another voice joined in, and soon, a chorus of agreement erupted. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Together, they were stronger, just as he had hoped. The trust was building, the fear melting away under the warmth of collective resolve. As he looked around the room, something shifted within him. Just maybe, this could be the moment that spurred them towards something greater. I need your help, he found himself saying, feeling the weight of the moment. If we work together, we can navigate anything that comes our way. Applause broke out, and he felt a deep sense of relief wash over him. They were not backing away from the challenge. They would face it head on, and he would lead them. But just as he thought everything was taking a turn for the better, the community center doors flew open, and a stranger stepped in. The whole room turned to face the newcomer, curiosity thick in the air. Ethan felt a new wave of uncertainty. Who was this person, and what did they want? As the stranger stepped forward, he recognized the resolve in their eyes. Dark clouds rolling in on this sunny day. A hush fell over the crowd, and in that moment, he felt the very fabric of their gathering begin to tremble. What revelation could possibly unfold now? The stranger paused at the threshold, scanning the room as though weighing its inhabitants. Ethan could feel the tension stiffening like a drawn bowstring. He wanted to move forward, to break the silence, but his feet felt glued to the ground. Hello, the stranger finally said, their voice smooth but carrying an urgency that made it stand out above the whispers. I'm Alex. I'm here on behalf of the Foundation. The room buzzed with murmurs again, some voices filled with uncertainty. Ethan couldn't help but take a step toward the newcomer, his heart hammering louder than the voices around him. Was this the good news or the bad news they had dreaded? Is there an update on the funding? Gary asked, stepping forward, instincts kicking in to protect the crowd from worry. Alex glanced briefly at him before fixing their gaze on Ethan. I understand there's been some confusion lately. I'm here to clarify. Unfortunately, I bring news that might cause you more concern. Ethan held his breath, anticipation hanging heavy in the air. Alex opened a folder, displaying a series of documents. The Foundation has imposed strict guidelines regarding the funding you hope to receive. They want control over how the festival is run, and they're not open to discussions. Gasps surged through the crowd. Faces turned pale, and Ethan instinctively felt for Gary, who stood beside him like a rock. But why? We've put so much into this, someone shouted from the back, anger lacing their words. I know it's frustrating, Alex replied, raising hands in what seemed to be a plea for calm. But the Foundation sees this as a potential model to replicate in other towns. They want to streamline operations, but it means we lose some of the autonomy you've worked so hard to maintain. Ethan felt his chest tighten. It was as if the very air had been sucked out of the room. He glanced at the faces around him, people who had shared laughter, ideas, and dreams. Their hope was being taken away like candy from a child. What do we do now? Came a shaky voice from the crowd, the fear creeping back like an unwelcome guest. Taking a deep breath, Ethan stepped forward again, longing to anchor them. It's a setback, yes. But we need to think clearly. We can't let this drive a wedge between us. We need to discuss our options. Alex nodded, acknowledging Ethan's resolve. I'm here to help facilitate conversations, to listen to your concerns. This could be a chance for us to voice what we truly value about our community. I urge you to harness your passion and rally together. But a woman in the audience stood up, shaking her head. Passion is great, but we can't overlook the terms they're presenting. This isn't how we operate here. We've always valued our freedom. That hit Ethan. It resonated with him deeply. Freedom wasn't just a word, it was what made their community special. How could they reconcile the dream of a vibrant festival that celebrated everything they cherished with the restraints imposed on them? The murmurs transitioned into fervent discussions, voices rising and falling like waves. Ethan felt a tugging in his gut. He had to restore unity before it slipped away. Listen. He called, urgency in his voice. Let us take a moment. We need to focus on what makes us who we are, our community spirit. This negotiation isn't just about money or control, it's about our voices being heard. Let us not lose sight of that. The crowd quieted, the collective weight of emotions crystallizing into a potent energy. Faces, once filled with fear or anger, began to soften, reflecting shared determination. Ethan turned back to Alex. Will you help us? Help us communicate not just our needs but our values? We want to create a festival that honors everything we stand for, and we won't compromise that. The stranger's expression softened, visibly moved. I believe in this community too. Let us work together. But before the hope could fully take root, someone shouted from the back. What if they refuse to listen? And just like that, uncertainty loomed once more. Would they even have a chance to negotiate for their dreams? The auditorium shifted again, the energy winding back into tension. Suddenly, it felt like everything they had built was teetering on the edge. Ethan took a step back, clutching the podium for support. The weight of the moment settled in his bones. The path ahead was foggy, and deep inside, he feared what their journey would demand of them next. Could they navigate through this storm together, or would they be torn apart? Ethan's heart raced as he stood at the center of the room, surrounded by a whirlwind of emotions. Hope and doubt battled for dominance among the faces before him. Just moments ago, there had been an air of anticipation, excitement bubbling up at the thought of a festival that highlighted their community's spirit. Now, all that lay in shambles, threatened by a foundation that viewed their cherished traditions as mere guidelines. Let us refocus, Ethan urged, his voice stronger now, cutting through the murmurs. This committee isn't just about fundraising, it's about creating something meaningful for everyone. We owe it to ourselves to fight for that. But what if it's all for nothing? Gary's voice trembled as it echoed the fears creeping into many hearts. No discussion is ever for nothing, Alex interjected, stepping forward, their voice firm. Let us channel this into actionable dialogue. You have every right to demand clarity and to voice your concerns. The sincerity in Alex's words sparked a flicker of hope. Yet doubts lingered, casting long shadows over the collective optimism. Anxiety danced in the air, palpable and potent. Let us break into groups, Ethan proposed, seeing the spark of anticipation in some eyes. We can voice our biggest concerns. How can we articulate what matters most to us? Let us prioritize our values. A few heads nodded, and people started to form circles, taking ownership of their fears and hopes. Ethan could feel the momentum shift, their community wasn't going to crumble. He could see it, a tapestry of dreams being woven, swirling with colors brighter than before. In one circle, a woman voiced her worry about losing their unique flavor. If they take control, it'll be no different than any other festival. We'll lose our identity. Next to her, a man countered with a more hopeful standpoint. What if we use their structures to elevate our vision? We can showcase our culture in new ways that attract even more people. Ethan moved closer, listening intently. Several voices merged, expressing fears and ideas in a roundtable of authentic responses. They weren't passive anymore, they were alive with possibility. As discussions flourished, Ethan felt renewed energy coursing through him. Their voices interlaced, creating a melody that echoed throughout the room. The collective realization struck him: this fight wasn't just about money or control, this was about the heart of their community. When the groups finally reconvened, Ethan stood tall. We've shared our values. Let us create a statement that encapsulates who we are. Not just for ourselves, but for this festival's future. Nods of agreement swept through the crowd, faces shining with new determination. They began listing off ideas: diversity, artistic expression, community engagement. The words sparked a fire that raced from heart to heart, building strength and consensus. But just as the energy surged, a newcomer burst through the door. A tall figure, sharp-eyed and stern, drew immediate attention. Ethan's heart sank. This wasn't just an observer, it looked like someone from the foundation. Who are you? Someone asked, suspicion lacing their tone. The figure scanned the room before locking onto Ethan. I'm here to discuss the terms of your funding, they said, voice steady but cold. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Was this the beginning of their reckoning, or their defeat? Would they have the strength to stand firm against this new presence, or would their collective hopes be swept away just like that? An electric silence filled the room as everyone turned to face the newcomer, hopeful yet wary. The air crackled with tension once more. Ethan clenched his fists, heart pounding in anticipation. What would this figure say next, and how would it change everything they were building together? The newcomer took a slow step forward, their eyes scanning the room as if trying to gauge the mood. A murmur of unease rippled through the crowd. Ethan felt every heartbeat echoing like a drum in the gathered silence. I understand you have concerns, the figure continued, lifting a well-groomed eyebrow. But I assure you, we in the Foundation want to see this festival thrive. We want to help. Skepticism swept through the room. Help? Someone called out, bitterness creeping into their voice. By stripping away what makes us unique? The figure remained unfazed. Our intentions are to enhance, not erase. Change is inevitable in any successful venture. You should see this as an opportunity. Opportunity for who? Alex stood firm, their posture radiating defiance. It seems more like a power grab. How can we trust that you truly care? Ethan glanced at Alex, appreciating their resolve. Their words hung in the air, heavy with distrust, and he could feel the fears stirring once more. The cozy warmth of their earlier discussions felt like a distant memory now. You don't know me, the newcomer countered sharply, their expression unyielding. I've spent years helping communities like yours find success in a world that often forgets those who thrive in the shadows. I'm not the enemy here. But you come in here with a checklist. Gary shouted, frustration leaving his face pale. You have a plan, but it feels like it's already mapped out without us. The newcomer's lips tightened. I came to listen today, not to dictate. If you're willing, let us talk. What exactly do you want from this partnership? Ethan seized the moment, stepping forward with a mix of courage and vulnerability. What we want is to preserve our identity while embracing growth. We want our traditions to thrive, not be altered into something unrecognizable. The newcomer met Ethan's gaze, and for a brief moment, their sharp demeanor softened. Then let me hear your traditions. Help me understand the essence that we need to protect. The energy in the room shifted again, uncertainty now sparking curiosity. Ethan felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. Maybe this person wasn't a roadblock, maybe they could be a bridge. Slowly, voices began to rise, filled with passion. A woman shared a story of her grandmother's recipes, a staple of the festival. A young man spoke about the music that filled the streets, resonating with their history. As each story unfolded, Ethan could see the newcomer's attention tightening on their words. Yet as the tales flowed, Ethan noticed the newcomer's expression flicker back to that hardened gaze. Every heartfelt story seemed to hit a wall. I appreciate your passion, came the cold reply once they finished. But we still need to broaden this festival's appeal. We want your stories, but we also want to attract a larger crowd. That's what guarantees funding. Ethan's heart sank. The complexity of their conversation twisted into confusion once more. Could they truly integrate the past with this new vision without losing themselves in the process? As the room buzzed with rising emotions again, Ethan felt the weight of doubt creeping in, clinging like a heavy fog. Just as he thought to speak up, he noticed a flicker of determination among the people gathered, a shared unspoken resolve. They felt it too, a longing to bring their community together, to fight for something real. What if we combine our stories with your broad appeal? Alex's voice rang out, cutting through the anxiety. Can we find a middle ground that honors our roots while attracting new faces? All eyes turned towards the newcomer, who now seemed visibly shaken by the shift. Ethan held his breath, waiting for a response. Would this conversation open a door for compromise, or would they once again hit a wall? And as uncertainty hung like a thick curtain, a deeper question loomed in Ethan's mind. How much of their heart would they need to give to preserve their identity? Ethan stood at the center of the room, feeling the weight of collective hope and anxiety. The tension hung thick in the air, echoing the palpable uncertainty surrounding the future of their beloved festival. Faces filled with determination found strength in each other's stories. He could feel their hearts beating as one. Yet, a stark reality lurked beneath the surface. Could they balance their cherished traditions with the demands thrown at them? As he glanced at the newcomer, who still remained unyielding, Ethan felt the sting of frustration. But just as doubts settled in, he heard a small voice rise above the murmurs, a voice belonging to Mrs. Whitaker. "What if we host a showcase of our best traditions during the festival?" she proposed, her eyes glimmering with the spark of inspiration. "A day of stories, performances, and food that represents who we are at our core." Ethan felt a surge of energy ripple through the room. "Yes. We can set up a dedicated space for that," he exclaimed, his voice lifting the atmosphere. "A stage for our community, where everyone can share their talents and what makes this town unique. We'll still invite broader participation, but our heart will beat through everything we do." The crowd erupted into applause, their earlier fears suddenly transforming into genuine excitement. People began exchanging ideas on how to intertwine their beloved traditions with new elements that could draw in the crowds without compromising their identity. Even the newcomer's expression softened slightly, showing glimmers of curiosity. "We want to create something that brings the best of both worlds," Ethan said, feeling the hope swell within him. "We'll celebrate our heritage while opening our arms to new experiences. Everyone can leave with something meaningful." Just then, Alex cleared their throat, stepping forward. "If we can strike a balance, we might just show the foundation that preserving our uniqueness truly enhances our potential." The crowd buzzed with energy, voices intertwining. They began brainstorming. Local artists could design festival signs, children's workshops could introduce younger generations to traditional crafts, and the stage would honor older performers alongside new artists. Each suggestion built upon the last, unveiling a festival that would resonate in their hearts while expanding their reach. Ethan stepped back, imbued with warmth at the unity forming before him. The stranger from the foundation was watching, tuning into the vitality buzzing around them. "You all have something special here," they finally said, their tones shifting as they absorbed the collective energy in the room. "If you commit to this blended vision, I think you could present a compelling case to the foundation. A festival that draws on local spirit could be a model for them." Ethan felt a sigh of relief wash over him, an exhale of hope. "Then let us make it happen. Let us present them with a festival that incorporates everything we love and everything we aspire to." A wave of enthusiasm washed over the crowd, arms raised high, ready to embrace the challenge ahead. It was as if the very air sparkled with optimism. Overwhelmed by gratitude, Ethan looked at Gary, who stood beside him, radiating pride. This journey had transformed them both, and he knew it wasn't just about the festival anymore. It was about the community, the friendships forged in struggle and uplifted through compassion. As the conversations grew bolder and plans began taking shape, Ethan felt an undeniable warmth fill his heart. They would move forward, brick by brick, weaving together the dreams of their past with threads of hope for the future. Together, he thought, smiling at the faces around him. Together, we started to create something extraordinary. And so, the festival emerged not just as an event but a celebration of identity, love, and resilience. The community rallied, and in that small Midwestern town with brick buildings and family diners, joy bloomed anew. Faces filled with laughter shone brighter than ever against the sunset. As Ethan stepped back, witnessing the jubilant stir of people weaving plans together, he realized that transformation did not merely come from funding or support. It blossomed from the heart, from the connections built on kindness and passion, echoing Gary's message that individual acts of goodness create a ripple, changing lives beyond measure. This was just the beginning, and for their community, a beautiful path bloomed ahead, bursting with potential. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, transforming the sky into a palette of vibrant colors, one truth remained: it was up to them, together, to shape that future. If you've loved this journey, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to fuel our stories, and share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the joy. Your voice truly matters. Let us keep the heart of our community alive.